Now for boarding, I like to set my turrets to attack my target. And then you can control how much damage gets applied by just selecting the ship, and then your turrets will start to shoot. And we go to our boarding pods, and when the shields are low, we fire them. So like now, one, 2, 3, and then we select another target and our turrets stop shooting. Now the 3 boarding pods are incoming. They have a very high range in 0 hour, are very fast, and the enemy also doesn't shoot them down. So it's very easy to make contact. And once you have marine contact with the ship hull, then your ships will also not attack the boarding target. So this is another improvement by 0 hour. It only works for turrets and for ships which are in a fleet. So for example, I have this fighter fleet here. If I tell them to attack all enemies, then they will swarm the sector, but the ship which is currently getting boarded will not be attacked. In the property owned list, you have this personnel tab where you can supervise your progress. All ships in 0 hour can carry 15 marines, and each boarding pod can hold 5. So you can fire 3 boarding pods on every target. Just makes it easier. The balancing is a bit different though, because you will generally suffer more marine losses. You have these deck fights here, and there will already be some marines dying on these decks. But at the end we are hacking the ship computer, and after that there will be a final ambush by the enemy. So either the pilots making a last stand in the cockpit or a booby trap explosion, and this kills off more of your marines. And how many of them will die depends on how many of them are reaching the central core. So when you lose marines during the deck fights, then you will only lose very little marines in this final ambush, or even none. So if you have like 8 marines on the final deck, then you probably won't suffer any losses. But if you are there with 15, or if you send additional marines, so while they are fighting I could fire another boarding pod and send more marines in, and the more of them survive, the more will die. This is just to ensure that you always suffer some losses, that it's never possible to reach a state where you have those uber marines who are just boarding anything without losses. This is not possible, and also not intended. But to make up for this, if we now check the ship, we have a lot higher rate of our pirates leveling up. So of the 15 marines where we attacked, only 8 of them survived. We have lost 2 of them in the final casualty round. So 10 had reached the central computer, and then some explosion went off and killed 2 more of them. Those 2 extra losses, they were completely random. So those could be high-level marines, even with a good fighting skill. So this ambush round in the end, this kills off random dudes. Those 8 guys who survived, they leveled up a lot. So these were all very basic marines. I bought them at a pirate base. And this guy here has 80 mechanical now. And we have one dude with... Okay, this guy here has 90 fighting. So you have a lot higher rates of leveling up. And now these guys can already be sent against larger targets. So this is the kind of new balancing it's hard to get decent Marines. You have to level them up, but you can never reach a state where you suffer no losses during your boarding. But it's very easy to level them up with only one or two operations. And you also don't need as many Marines, because even the large ships can only carry 15. Now, how do you get Marines? You can buy them at a pirate base, like I said. So I believe one of them is somewhere around here. Yeah, right here. So every pirate base sells those mercenaries, but they are quite expensive in the early game. But you kind of need them, at least some of them, to get some mechanical dudes to breach the hull. And you need 1 or 2 hackers for the central core. As an alternative, you can recruit Marines from your own outposts. If you go to the hangar section, but you also need a ship which is docked there. Yeah, right here. So this is a TP transport. Those can hold 60 Marines. All other ships can hold 15. And here, if you just click this button, then you are recruiting a Marine from your outpost population. So it takes actual people to recruit them. But these guys always start with 10 fighting and nothing else. So you can send them in for free, basically. These guys doesn't cost you anything. They add a little bit of fighting to your party. And if you send the full amount of Marines and they all survive the deck fights, then those random losses in the final ambush round, if they kill off these guys, if you mix them into the boarding crew, then it doesn't matter that much and the loss isn't very high. And the lower your skills are when you complete a boarding, the higher the skill gain is. So it doesn't take ages to level these guys up. If they survive, then they will get good very quickly. And in 0 Hour 2.0, in the latest update, if you have the pirate contract perk on your outpost, and there is a pirate base or a Yaki sector up to 1 jump away from your outpost, then your starting Marines will also get 30 fighting and not 10. So that's another way to boost your boarding ability. Then we also have some new consequences, some rewards, but also some disadvantages from boarding. For one, you get a little bit of money from each kill. So your Marines are finding credit chips on board of the enemy ship. So in here for this corvette, we got 120,000 credits, which is nice for the early game. Then we also get 25% of the ship blueprint, which can be interesting if you are still researching the larger ships. If you board them, you already have a quarter of the blueprint, and then if you reverse engineer them, you get another 50% of the blueprint. So already you have 75% unlocked, and then your research station can quickly unlock the rest, and you can construct the ship. But there's also a chance for each boarding operation to get infamy. This depends on the ship size. For the corvettes, it's not always guaranteed. In this case, we didn't get any infamy, but the bigger ships will definitely give you infamy, up to 5, I believe, for the M2 destroyers. And then it's also ensured that, because there were some exploits in the vanilla game and also LitCube's universe, when you had 2 factions who were fighting each other and you were sneaking your Marines in to board one of them, then you could board ships without a real reputation hit, and the faction would still be your friend. In 0 Hour, when you do a boarding operation, then this will definitely put you into negative reputation with that faction. Doesn't need to be much, but you will be hostile, whatever your previous rank was. Then of course it's also useful to have a transporter device on your ship, because then you can quickly transfer the Marines back. And now we have 8 quite skilled Marines, and we could send them against another corvette, and then they would probably be elite Marines with very good fighting skill. But we can also mix in some rookies into our boarding party. I have another corvette with 5 of those 10 fighting rookies, and I'm adding them to my crew. Kind of have to prepare your boarding operation in advance, because you cannot really select which Marines will be sent. So do we have a guy with decent hacking? Yes, we do. So we can select another target. We only have 13 Marines, but this should suffice for a corvette, because some of them are skilled. And remember, the less Marines you have on the final deck, the fewer losses you will suffer. So the smaller ships can be boarded with maybe only 7 or 8 Marines, and then you won't suffer any losses. But only if they have a high skill, of course. Let's add 2 more rookies into the mix from our second frigate, so that we have a full 15 Marine boarding crew. And then try to get behind the target, because if they are shooting at you and you are firing the boarding pods directly with them facing you, then there is still a high chance that they will get shot down. So it's better to come from behind. But they are not actively shooting the boarding pods themselves. So as long as you come from an angle, you should be fine. And now they are in. Let's see how they do. So we have 8 elite Marines, or better skilled Marines, and 7 rookies. Let's see how many of them survive. So deck 3 with, I believe, 13 Marines.
I need supporting for deck 3. Reached central computer. Disabling safety.
Yeah, so we have lost 2 of them during the deck fights.
Hacking the system.
And soon we will get another casualty round.
The computer system has been access granted. We have full access. The ship is ours.
Yeah, 5 of them have been killed, and we got 1 infamy. But the survivors are high skill now. Especially this dude here has 100 hacking. So there tends to be 1 Marine who performs the hack. He gets an incredible hacking skill increase. And if he survives this final explosion round, then you will have an expert hacker who's able to bring down the most expensive ships. So of our 15 Marines, we had 8 which were decently skilled and 7 rookies. 3 of the rookies have survived. Now they have a bit of fighting skill. And 3 of our more skilled Marines have died, but the survivors are very good now, with fighting skills over 60, and 1 with 100 hacking. Only the mechanics have died off, as it seems. Because like 2 Marines are getting decent mechanical on the success of the boarding. So we lost quite some skilled Marines, but the remainders are very valuable now. And here's another trick. If you only have few Marines with mechanical skill, then you should not fire the boarding pods like a missile, but use the actual boarding command in your ship's command console under hacking. There you have, yeah, we're already launching a boarding, that's why the command is not available, but it is under hacking, launch boarding operation. And this will spread your Marines with mechanical skill so that each boarding pod gets one of them. Because you only need one mechanic, or I believe it's like 2 Marines with the highest mechanical skill inside the boarding pod will be determined whether the pod can breach the hull or not. So we are attacking this Nemesis with 10 Marines, and so far none of them have suffered losses because our fighting skill is so high. Not only the individual fighting skill of the Marines matters, but also the combined skill of your entire crew. That is why the rookies can survive. And here we only lost 1 Marine.
Command accepted.
And we have multiple Marines with fighting skill 100. Our elite hacker is still alive, so at this point we can target a bigger ship. So that's kind of the new balancing for the boarding system. You can level up your Marines very quickly, but once you are at the point where you can board large ships, then it's not really sustainable because you will suffer losses.